about it. So Michael B. Jordan had an interesting tweet. Let me read it to you real quick. Meg, I admire your courage and applaud you for speaking up. We must support Black women, protect Black women, and believe Black women.
I think as a member of the public, the general idea should be, okay, if you have something to say that is dismissive or canceling what she has to say, that shouldn't come until you necessarily have a reason to cancel that. You don't have to comment on that. In the meantime, you can speak in language that's supportive to the trauma that she's experiencing and language that says, I hear you. I think sometimes when people say believe Black women, like the first step that typically doesn't happen so well is the hearing. I think so the better I think the better action item for people who are the public to Meg and who have other women in their lives is to hear those Black women or hear those women. And I think that the way that that doesn't happen is a little bit more subtle than just, you ain't talking about nothing. I think the way it happens is, and I'm curious on what y'all's take is on this, but I think it's harder sometimes for men and for women to like believe their own feminine energy. And I'm not saying, okay, you a feminine man, whatever that might mean to a dude. What I'm saying is that we all have classic masculine and feminine energy, and you can call it, different things, but your feminine energy kind of emotes certain things and your masculine energy emotes other things. For a guy, and even for a woman, if you can't appreciate your own feminine energy, and if you typically respond to the times when you feel specifically hurt about something or kind of like slighted or whatever, and you tell yourself without pause to suck that up, dust it off, stop being a bitch or whatever, then it's probable that you might respond to someone else coming with a concern in that kind of manner. That's just the way that I think about it. I think it's worth assessing that, not necessarily having something to say about Meg in particular.
I like the piece that you said, listen, here, you know what I mean? Like that's the biggest thing. Like, give a person the opportunity to state their piece without any biases going in, without any judgment, preconceived notions. Just hear a person out. Because I am just against blind belief of somebody just because they are a victim. Like, you can be a victim and a liar at the same goddamn time.
You can.
Yes.
It's true.
You can fabricate the hell story.
And the way I've heard the public speak to this story for the most part is that two things, like, it's like she's a victim, so because she's the victim, everything the victim says is true. No. Was it men lie, women lie, numbers don't, numbers lie too, everything lies.
It's true. It's true. I think people's point really, and maybe their language is not the best, but I think people's point a lot of times is in similar fashion of Black Lives Matter doesn't mean all lives don't matter. It just means there needs to be more emphasis on the Black lives. I think the point of believe women, which I really hear as hear women, is to emphasize that not that women should be heard over other people, but just that there needs to be a little bit more emphasis in that. Because I don't know how, and maybe you all have had this experience too, but it's been a pretty frequent experience for me to be in a meeting and, in whatever like sector I've worked in, there have been a few, and said something, a viable idea, real clutch, we gonna win with this idea. Have no response made to what I have to say. All of a sudden, it's cold in here, the AC, can somebody grab some water? Like, everything but acknowledging the fact that I just said something. And then moments later, a dude coming in with like a joke, recommending the exact same thing that I just recommended. Or maybe it'll be like a couple of days later. And it'll be like, yeah, Kevin, that's exactly what we should do. Let's get started. And since you had the idea, why don't we let you spearhead it? I think it's more about here. And I'm sure if you talk to women, many of them can tell you that they've had similar experience on a regular. And maybe it happens, you know, maybe you as men who are a minority have had a similar experience.
I'm glad you brought up the work environment part of it, because I didn't really think about that when I was thinking about these topics. But one thing relationship wise is what people have to. Well, I know I've said it before. Is if I'm in a like a heated conversation, a lot of times people listen to you to respond to you and not to understand. But that also goes within the work. Like there's been times where there's people that got up to speak, but I didn't care for that person, so I didn't pay attention to nothing they said. So I'm not listening to understand what they're saying. And it could have been something that could have helped me or the group or whatever the environment is. But because of however I'm feeling about this person, I just wrote it off.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think we do that subconsciously or unconsciously, rather, all the time.
I do it consciously most of the time.
And especially if you mad at somebody, and supposedly y'all having this conversation, you're hearing what you want to hear.
Right.